thank you so much for taking the time out of your precious day. I know for some people it's really late. Some other people it's early. But good. I always happy to be able to give information like this as part of Support Black Charities. This is something that we want to do more of. And so this is the second one. If you have a chance to go see the first one, it's on the website. So I'm going to start the presentation because I want to be on time. And if you see in the chat, if you have any questions, please. So I'm going to have to manage this as well. Okay. The waiting room did not go the way I wanted. Okay, so I'll start the presentation so we're on time. And if there are any questions, please leave in the chat with a question with capital letters, and I'll be able to go back to it. It should be about 35 minutes if my passion doesn't get in the way. Sometimes I go off topics and off script, but I'll make sure to reel it in so we can have more times for question, but still deliver information. So this is information that I love data. I'm a data-driven person. We can learn so much from data. So I will share my screen right now. Everybody can see my screen? I'm going to assume yes. So, great. Thank you. This is a topic that's really important these days. The donor is at center stage of nonprofit, maybe just at the same point as fundraising. And so I wanted to be able to deliver this information. And the agenda today, I'll introduce myself a little bit. Some people know me, some don't. I'll give a brief overview of the organization, who we are, what we do, and the context of the research, where I took my resources. I'll present the stats, the trends, the insight, the results of the research and the survey that was done, key takeaways across all generations, and I'll share also some free digital tools and specifically an action plan that nonprofits can incorporate right away. And I'll conclude with a little bit of the findings that I find with the industry, and I'll continue with a Q&A. I'll follow with a Q&A, but I will specifically answer first the questions that were submitted, and then I'll leave it up to if there are any other questions. So I want to introduce myself a little bit. My name is, again, Anick Silencieux, I forgot to say. I'm the founder and executive director of Support Black Charities. It was started in 2018, and it just came from a desire to be able to promote the people that are doing great work in the community. And I wanted to do it in a way that I can use nonprofits. I think nonprofits have a good part in the society. In terms of the Black ecosystem, you have the community, you have businesses, but you also have organizations that play a crucial role. And so I really wanted to be able to give me a second. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this at the same time at the beginning to let people in. Apologies. Okay. And so my goal is to be able to share information from the people that are already doing great work. And I always start by saying that I am the result of a nonprofit. My professional background, I am an engineer, and in my last year of university, there's an organization in the US that actually came to our school to be able to just expand in Canada. And so I went to their convention. The organization was I was going to say Support Black Charities. The organization was National Society of Black Engineers. And they changed my life. They changed my career. I went in the States, in North Carolina. It was my first time in North Carolina, and got a job, lived the American dream for 2 years, and now I'm back in Toronto. And I always wanted to do something in terms of volunteering for my community. I did a little bit while I was in the US. I didn't know exactly if I wanted to do it for women, for youth, for engineers, for professionals, for sports, and I decided to help them all. And so here we are today, almost 5 years later. And this was my side hustle for a while. I did slowly becoming my main hustle. So the mission of Support Black Charities, the mission is threefold. It is to increase online visibility of Black serving organization. It is to boost charitable giving. And it's also due to the events of 2020, whether the lockdown or the focused attention on racial inequality, we want to be a resource hub. And so, sorry, I'm just admitting people at the same time. And so by being a resource hub, we want to be able to provide this type of information as well as many others. So we just recently kind of pivoted into this type of providing information on other topics. I think it's really important that we share the information. I'm trying to carve myself a little niche with a Black serving organization, and so far the response has been quite incredible. In terms of who we are, well, we are an online platform and we are connecting, supporting supporters to Black organization. And we do this through our directory. I want to backtrack a little bit, saying that I was inspired also by the movement of supporting Black businesses. I think it makes sense. We keep the money in the family, and I want to be able to do the same thing with organizations. I think if we can get the community, Black businesses, and Black organization working together, just think about it. Just picture the Black ecosystem when all these members are working together to support each other in different ways. And I want to do my part through Black organizations. And so this is a directory. It just makes it easier for people to find organization. It's divided into different categories from entrepreneurship, youth, financial literacy, arts, health, any type of to climate change, animal preservation. We have organizations from all over the world. I did not want to limit it to where I am, Ontario or Canada. I wanted it to be worldwide. The reason is my background is Haitian. I was born and raised in Montreal, but my family's from Haiti. And so growing up, my family's always been involved in whatever's going on in Haiti, sending things over there. And so I know a lot of my friends from the islands or from the continent, same thing for them. If something's going on in their home, back home, they are involved some way. But it's just also to really tap into the dynamic diaspora. The Black diaspora is vibrant, and it's a way for them to have a link back home. We've seen this in 2019 with the return home with Ghana, the popularity of this movement. And so with these organizations, I want to be able to create that link for the diaspora to have a link back home or just discover a new culture. So what do we do? So it's evolving a little bit, but I'll tell you about what we are currently doing. So we do have an online directory, and the online directory, it is vetted. So the reason why we vet it is because we want to raise the bar a little bit, but it protects our brand, it protects your brand, and also in terms of the supporters that come to the site to be able to find organization to support. Having it vetted, make sure that some of these questions are already answered. And I want to say that I apologize for my voice. I'm a little bit congested. I woke up this morning congested, so my voice is a little bit weird. So I might take some water and breaks a little bit later. So vetting is a really important process for us because it makes sure that organization, when somebody comes to support an organization, they need to know that certain things have already been taken care of. The organization has been active, they have a website, they have social media, they have a track record, they're showing their impact, they have a way to donate online, etc. So if organizations don't have the minimum requirements, what we do is now we help them in terms of a donor management and all those things. We can help these organizations in different ways, and that's what we are leading towards. After 2020, we've heard a lot from organizations that were requesting different things. We need help with our website, we need help with business development, with capacity building, and so we've heard the people and we are answering the people, and we want to give what the people want. And so we are slowly changing a little bit our suite of programs to be able to really cater to what people are asking. And so Our services, there are 3 services that we branded. I am going to go to the next slide just so you can see it. Right here, there we go. So we branded our services. Get listed and get featured, get listed, get featured, get promoted. So get listed is free. And this is just if you fulfill the minimum requirement, you are listed on our directory under 2 categories. And this is whenever we go on social media and we promote a category. Let's say we promote, this is the month of nutrition, the awareness on nutrition. So I know that at the end of the month, we're going to be doing a post on food insecurity within the Black community. And what we'll do is we will mention the category about food security, food distribution, and so on. So if you're listed under that category, we will mention you. That's what we do for that plan. This is the free plan. Now, if you want to get a little bit more and you want to get featured, and one popular thing that we notice is we get a lot of requests from organizations that tell us we have an event coming up. Can you please forward it? So for us to forward information, we forward and share, repost this information if you are listed and featured, or if you're listed, featured, and promoted. And we will do it if you're under the free plan out of courtesy, depending on the volume of information that we're sharing and depending on the schedule. But to really make sure that you are reposted and we share your information, you need to be on one of the paid plans because we really watch your feed. And anytime we see something of relevance that has a call to action, this is when we share the information. And what we do, I should speak on it, is when we feature an organization, is that on social media, we will create posts about your organization, about your program for a week. That is the first thing that we do to introduce you to our community and to let other people know what you're doing. And so this is a great way for your organization to have content, meaning that you can say we've been featured on Support Black Charity and it creates content for you. So we do this for a whole week. And we do this for once a year for you. The third plan, get listed, get featured, and get promoted. We do the same thing we do on the other plans, but this one, we do it twice a year where we feature your organization. But the added bonus here is that we also feature your leadership team. We notice that today marketing is about storytelling. And so we need to get the story behind the organization. Sometimes the story could be told through the leadership team, or it could also be told through a volunteer or a supporter. If you have a very committed volunteer that you like to highlight, we could do it through this way, where instead of highlighting a leader, somebody from the leadership team, what we'll do is we'll highlight one of your volunteers. And we've done that several times in the past, and that's been very well received. The other thing that we do for this one is that we will produce promotion material content for you for one event that you have during the year. And this probably caters more to small to medium-sized organizations that don't have the resources to do it. So in that case, we offer our services to be able to help that way. I want to show another representation of these services. So you see a little bit, I know it's very small, but you see a little bit the added services that are added with the different plan. And I want to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about what's coming up because a lot of people have asked us. So recently, I partnered with a business developer to be able to take things to another level, but to also add a dimension to our services. So we're right in the middle of creating different programs to help organization in the area of business development, capacity building, and so on. So, stay tuned. April, May, stay tuned. We're going to start by, doing an assessment. And then based on the assessment, we'll create a customized program, an action plan that you can follow with me and my team to be able to get you to where you want to go. This is really important. This is the next level for Black organizations. I know since 2020, in Canada and the US, there's been a lot of funding for organization, but now that we have the funding, let's do something with it. How do we get to the next step? And we noticed that this is a niche and an area that there was a need. And so added this expertise to the organization to be able to help because essentially, when you hear support Black charities, you know that it means different things to different people. For organizations, it means that we're helping them. For the audience, it means that they can go on our site to be able to support an organization. So we have different audiences, and so we try to slowly cater to all of them. So why SBC? I'll give a little bit about the benefits. This is a question that's always asked. So it instantly increases your online visibility because you are on a directory, on a cause-specific directory. But also, I always like to say that the audience that comes to our website, this is a joke that I say that they don't come to our website because they want to order pizza. They come to our website because they want to support the Black community. So this is a pre-qualified audience that comes to our website and engages with our content. This is the value that we offer right away. People that interact with our brand, that interact with on the website, on social media, they are looking to support a Black organization or in the Black community. So definitely, this is a plus for your organization to be seen by these individuals. Then you get access to customized service, like I said, the promotion, social media, and just like I just mentioned, we're getting ready to roll out some extra services to be able to add value to the people who are part of the organization. We're member of the organization who have been listed, because to be able to get access to the services, you will need to be listed on a directory. And again, if you don't have these requirements, if you don't fill the requirements, we want to work with you to help you get there. This is our part of supporting Black charities. So our impact so far over 4 years, 100, I would say 127 are organizations. As of this morning, there was two more organizations that were added yesterday and one this morning. And so we are representing in 18 countries. We added three that I said this year, but that was last year. So we added one this year. And so I'm trying to conquer the world. I'll tell you honestly, there's so many other countries that we don't have a presence, and I am learning the culture by getting to know. Lately, I've been talking to a lot of people in Kenya. I'm getting to know the culture. I'm getting to know the South African culture. I spoke to somebody in Rwanda. I'm getting to know the culture at the same time, which also helps us to understand the different challenges around the world, because this is something that we have a unique perspective on. We deal with other nonprofits around the world. So we're able to hear their stories and see how we can help that way. And so let's get to the meat of the reason why a lot of you have joined this webinar. I want to be able to provide information to nonprofits. And there's so many information, but whether it's today, it's going to be on the donor giving online, but we did one 2 months ago on how to extend your reach online of your nonprofit. That was the online visibility. And we're going to continue to do these types of um, presentation to just give information. I'll tell you that I'm a nerd on the down low. And so in terms of ChatGPT, cybersecurity, yes, I will be bringing these topics to the nonprofit world, because these are topics that I dabble in on my side for myself. So watch out for some of those upcoming presentation and information session coming up soon. So I'll dive in exactly into the context of this research. And I'll tell you, I was sidetracked. While I was looking at the research, I got sidetracked. I went on deep dives and I went into other researches. I had to wheel myself back in because of the information was really interesting to find out. So over the last 2 years, there's been two major shifts. Obviously, the digital I should have probably said adaptation instead of adoption. I guess it works too. But a lot of nonprofits are now moving online with a website. They have a presence online. In the Black community, I notice a lot of organizations are community driven. A lot starts from the church. And so, due to the pandemic, there's been a big movement, a big migration of organizations moving online to be able to extend their reach and continue to deliver their programs. But at the same time, donors have also change their behavior. Just like customers for-profit business, I've also changed their behaviors. And so this is an area that we're going to definitely dive in a little bit more today to understand the donor behavior and how to attract more of them. And obviously, we need to get to know who our donors. So these are 6 questions in my deep dive. Like I said, these are 6 questions that I came across. And I'm like, I have to put this in this presentation. This is something that we always think about, but this is like in your face, something that we can all do to understand who are our donors, who are we targeting. So again, who are your donors? What do your donors support? When do your donors give? Where are your donors? Why do your donors give? And how do your donors give? These are all questions that, as a fundraiser in your organization or executive director, is something that you constantly think about. So let's look a little bit more at um, what are we going to be focusing on this research. So we're going to be focusing on the who, the how, the why, and the where. And specifically the who, the different generations. So I had to look this up myself. I got lost in a different generation. I said, which one am I? I didn't know which one I was. Now I know. Generation Z, Millennium, X, baby boomers, and silver generation. So you have the ages there. So one of the reports makes the difference with younger generation and older generation. And the cutoff for them is 40 years old. And so that's how it's cut. The other one looks at all the different generation, but one of them just kind of puts it in, separates it in two. The how is to find out how are they donating right now, and what do they prefer, what is the trends, where do they go, and we're going to examine this a little bit more. Why? It's very important to find out their motivation and the triggers, and there's a real difference between the generations, definitely a very difference. And as a nonprofit executive, you want to know what the difference is to be able to customize your content, and where obviously it is online. This is where everybody is going today. So the two resources that I found, the PayPal Giving Fund Canada, they put out a report every year. I think this is the second time they are doing it, where they are looking at the generational insight report, which is a word that we're going to start using a little bit more. I know in some of the content that we do, I talk a lot about generational impact, but for generational impact, we need generational giving. And so this is kind of a way to find out who is giving, what is their behavior. So we're going to be looking at, apologies. We're going to be looking at it in 3 sections: the gap, the drive to give, and the future of online giving. And then the other report that is a really important tool and website to go to if you're a nonprofit. They have so many tools for a nonprofit, for businesses as well, but also for nonprofit. It's called the Blackbaud report. And so we're going to look at how they are giving, their motivation, and following a donation, which is really also important. The how do you manage the communication after the donation? Because when somebody gives to you, they are, and you treat them well, they are more likely to give to you again. And so we want to understand that part and see how we can include that in our communication. The disclaimer here, which is in fine print, just shows that these two resources, I found out that they were done in Canada. But I did some research on the rest of the world, specifically the big markets in Africa and the big markets in US, UK, Australia, and Europe. And the trends are similar. And so I will stay with these numbers because they have great graphics that we're going to go through. But I just wanted to give that disclaimer. If you're wondering why am I taking something from PayPal Giving Fund Canada. So I will go. Yes. So starting, I think I mentioned that already, that they define the different generation, younger and older, and it's divided up depending on at 40 years old, younger and older. And then what we noticed right away, this was from the first part of the survey, is that the younger generation, they they're the future, meaning that we have to follow them to be able to continue giving for years to come. Obviously, without sounding too, I guess, somber, the older generation, is going to pass away, and then we have to follow the younger generation. So focusing on them is also important because we want to get to know them so we can fall and just be a little bit ahead of the curve so we never miss out. So this is something that really comes out through the research, that they are leading it. They are the ones that give the most right now. They're really active into philanthropy, and also it's going to drive the changes in philanthropy. Their behavior is already starting to drive the changes. And their biggest motivation is they want to be helpful and impactful. It's just something to keep in mind. And for the older generation, it's all about loyalty. They want to know that they can give you, they're steady, they're consistent, and but they are loyal to a charity, and they also expect loyalty from the charity as well. So they want to be informed on what the charity does, especially with their donation. So that was something that was really seen throughout this research. So now let's, for kind of the fun part, I guess, we could look at some of the numbers, the illustration. Like I said, I'm a numbers person, so I like looking at this. This is the motivation. And what's important to find out here, the very first one, is that, let's see, Generation Z and the Millennials, if a family member or friend asks them, 30% of the time they do give. Right? So a lot of the times we don't want to ask our family and friends. I know I was in that situation. I didn't want to go to them and say, well, can you support me? But the data shows that 30% of the millennium, Generation Z and millennials, when somebody asks them, they do give. So it's something to keep in mind. So in that case, it's like we want to create shareable content, because when it's shareable, people can share, and you can share to your friends and to your network, and maybe that's how that generation is going to get it. Another couple of things that are interested to find out is that everywhere you see that Generation Z and the millennials, they are at the forefront, leading every category. But another one that's interesting, especially these days, is that they support causes that are in the news right now. So for an organization, it means that you have to stay up to date with what's going on. You have to use the content that you share has to be relevant. What's going on in the news? And there's always a way to spin it in your favor, or to put yourself in that story, to bring the attention back to your organization. Or there's always a way to do that. Massage a little bit the narrative to bring it to your organization. Maybe not be too dramatic and make something doesn't look real, but really look for those organizations that are the news and whatever is relevant to your organization and your cause. And give to causes and charities that, yes, by influencers. Obviously, you see the Generation Z and millennials that are leading the way there for that section. So this kind of gets us interested in finding out what motivates them to give. So family and friends and whatever's in the news. So this one is another important one that tells us the most important donor factors that they see to be able to give. And what's really interesting is if you look at the young generation, they are looking at the trustworthiness of the payment platform. What are you using? I don't want to just give you my money. Is it trustworthy? But similarly, you are looking at the older generation. They are looking to make sure that the security. I'm just going to ask you, if you just joined in, to just mute yourself. I'm going to mute you. Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. Let's go. And then the older generation, you can see that they really care about the security. So they don't want to put their credit card anywhere. So it's something to keep in mind when, especially with your donor page, your donation page, that you do use some security on your site. The second one that I thought was really interesting for the older generation is receiving a tax receipt. They care about receiving a tax receipt. So if you are an organization that gives tax receipt, you want to make sure, and you are targeting the older generation, or you want to target them, this is something to really put clearly on your site. And notice that for the younger generation, it doesn't even show up. They don't really care. They really actually don't care. So it's good news for the nonprofits in Canada that don't have charitable status. But it's you can see they don't care about that fact, but the older generation, they do. So it's something to mention on your donor page. And I'm trying to see what else. Yes. So for the younger generation, they want to stay informed of the impact of the donation. They want to know where their money is going. And so that's interesting to be, it's something that you have to include in your communication or on your content online to show we've received this much and this is what we are doing about it. So this is a little bit, so the top three ones, the security of the transaction, the trustworthiness of the payment platform, and receiving a tax receipt. Something to keep in mind. This is what the data shows us, and this is how we should kind of cater and customize our donor page to be able to make sure that we don't deter anybody from giving to our organization. In a second, let's go to another page right here. Yes, so this one, I really like that one. Again, I deep dive on all those and started going down YouTube and to find out more. But the 10 ways donors give, I've given in the past, gives us an indication where they'll be given again. Notice again on top, the website. The website is important. And here it says it's very small, but they were asked to select all that applies. That's why you see the different percentages that don't all add up to 100. But you see that they mostly prefer to give on the charity's website. So this is something to keep in mind, millennials specifically. Another thing to look at is that the older generation, especially the silver generation, they're still sending checks. They are still sending checks. They do not want to put their credit card online. They do a little bit, but it seems like sending checks is the preferred way for them. And so what that means to us is that on the donor page, you need to put the address, the mailing address, and who to address this check. If you're trying to target that generation, this is something that you need to do. And what really pops out for the Generation Z is not a surprise, a social media. So they like to give on social media using the fundraisers that is done by social media. This has become really popular lately. And so this is something that is shown a lot. So this is kind of what we can see from this organization. Um, I can see crowdfunding is not too far, but Silver Generation is not really into it. But really, so we know that the website is a place to focus and social media. And also, a surprising one is at checkout when shopping. It says in person, but you also have at checkout when shopping online. And we'll go a little bit more about this because this is an emerging market that I want to dive in because this is new information. And this one is, we already knew that per generation, the way we use our cell phone. And so a lot of it's really driving the online giving because more people are online. So I didn't find exactly the percentage of people who give on their phone as opposed to a desktop. I really tried to get that information, but I couldn't find it. And so this is what I could find. This is what the PayPal Giving Fund was giving, saying that just knowing that the Generation Z interacts more with um, nonprofits through their cell phone. This is something to take into account with the millennials, but a lot less for the silver generation, as we kind of probably already know. So now we're moving into the Blackbaud report. So it shows how do you show your support to charities. Obviously, the biggest one is giving donation, but one that should not be ignored is volunteering. And oh yes, this one they gave the results a little bit differently. As you see here, it's the ages, the generation were broken off into different sections. One thing to notice right away is here 21%. 21% is 21% again. Activism. So we see that the younger generation, the way they support an organization is through activism a lot more than the other, almost double more than the other generation. Something to think about. So if there's a protest, if there's people need to come in, a sit in or something, you know that the younger generation will show up. to support your organization. If you happen to be in that sector where there's more activism, I was going to say active activism, where there's more activism in your sector. So you know that you can always rely on the younger generation to support your organization that way. But it's still, giving a donation is still the best way to support, and then volunteering. And we can see also here that the younger generation, after giving, they like supporting by volunteering. So it's something to be really mindful of, that if you're trying to cater to the younger generation, don't always ask for money. Sometimes you can ask, do you want to volunteer? As you can see, they are definitely more interested than the other generation. So you want to tap into that as well. Supporting an organization doesn't always mean giving money. You can support in different ways through volunteering. This is a message that we like to say a lot. So the other ones, um, what motivates you? This is just to show a little bit the different categories, but it's pretty much the same across everybody. It's to help those in need and to help the local area, the neighborhood. I think the difference that I wanted to show is 30% here is to help those abroad. That is, you know that the younger generation um, is more aware of what's going on around the world. And so they are a little bit more inclined to help people abroad. So that's something to take into consideration. This one is, what are the triggers for the different generations? And the number one is current events. We saw this in the PayPal report, where it shows that current news really, people really wanted to know, really, there was their motivation to be able to give. So this one gives the exact same information, that current news is really important. So it tells you that you, as an organization, when you create content, whatever's going on in the world, you want to add, you already had your 2 cents to it, because the younger generation is, or all of them right now, is really going to be keen on seeing what's your role in the current narrative. And if your role is a role where you can act on it, then they'll support you that way. This is all in the messaging and the marketing, to be able to tell people. Again, for the people who just joined, I apologize for my voice. I'm a little bit congested. And so bear with me, please. um, I will continue to the next one. Yes, this one is an important one, following the donation. The number one is, they want to know how the donation is being used. They need to know where the money is going. And this is kind of pretty much the same across everybody. So this comes into the communication after the donation. For Super Black Charities, every time I talk about donor management, I always talk about, there's 3 emails that should be coming out. First one, as soon as the donation is done, you send a thank you email. Then, while you're still fundraising, you can send an update email saying, thank you for your donation. We're now at 50% of our goal. And then after the event is done, thank you for your donation. This is what we've been able to do. And I'll even add another one to that. The next email is at the end of the year, the year-end campaign. At the end of the year, you should always send an email to your donors and show them, always send an email to your donors and let them know, thank you, throughout the year, you've been helping me to do this, 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 and that. You only show your accomplishment. So 4 emails. And research shows that if they get some attention, they're more likely to give to you again. It's not manipulative. I think it's just treating somebody well, understanding what people are expecting, and just delivering on what they're expecting. And this is also what the research shows. And so, yes, we see the first thing is they want information on how the donation is being used. The second one is they want a general thank you text or email. This is really important. First of all, they want to know that it went through, that you received it. And by doing that, you can also personalize your emails, depending on where they give, how they give, and how much they give. You can personalize your emails that way. And yes, so the third one is updating on what the charity is doing, like I was mentioning. And let's see. So the takeaways. We've seen all the data. We have a good idea of where people are. The takeaway in general. Definitely your website donation page has to be optimized. Because we saw that most donors go on your donation page. It has to be optimized. It has to be also responsive, so it's easily accessible on your phone. The second one, you have to have easy navigation to enhance the donor experience. It can be complicated. You can have step one, step two, step three, but make sure that it's easy, it's clear, what's on your page. We saw about this that the security and data protection, data privacy are all deciding factors. That was a surprising thing for me, but all across all generations, it's a deciding factor. So you want to make sure there are different things that you could put on your website. There's like a little icon that says secure by, trusted by. So you can put those. When you use Stripe or PayPal, you want to put powered by Stripe. These are the ones that are more popular today. Um, and by more popular, are they more trustworthy? That's another webinar. But you want to show exactly who you're using. Sometimes there's no indication, you don't know who takes the money, who's processing it. But when you know that it's PayPal or Stripe, you know they're known and you know there's a system behind it. They have their security and everything. Um, which answers to this one as well. Mobile payment for your website. Yes, clear information on if you can give a tax receipt or not, and how this tax receipt will be donated or provided to the donor. That's information that we saw that's important more for the older generation, but um, I think the millennials were also in there. So that's why I put it into general. The impact for me, I think, is the most important. I see a lot of the websites and the donation page does sometimes you click on donate and then all you see is give me your money, right? There's no text, nothing else. That's it. I think there should be a text there. There should be something that shows about where your money is going. Should be a reminder about your impact. And in general, your impact on your website should be visible, measurable, and trackable. And I say trackable over time. You need to show people. Last year we did with 100, an example, $100. We fed 100 kids. Now we have this new fundraiser. We're hoping to raise $500 to feed even more kids. Just entice them, engage them into your story, but show your track record. Show what you did with $100 and what you could do with $500. So just having a little paragraph like this really engages the donor, and that's across all generation that we saw into where the money is going to go. You want to offer different varieties of payment, different donation method. And one thing that I saw, I wasn't really able to show it in a graph, is that you want to use express checkout. There's different ways of giving. You have, I go through this a little bit later. So just for the sake of time, I am going to let it go and look at it later. Oops, sorry. So ask family and friends. We talked about this. Point of sale donation as well, gaining popularity. I'll talk about this as well in another one. So the younger generation, we want to focus on the message, how they are impacting the community. We want to build content to leverage current events. That's really important. We want to make it easy for them to share on social media when they've given. You have sometimes after you've made a donation, there's a window that comes up and says, please share your donation, tell your network about it. So this is what you want to use a lot for the younger generation. Engage them also in volunteering on your donation page. You can say if you want to do more, you can volunteer because we know it's important for them as well. And also the donation, yes, on social media. We'll go through this as well in the other slide. For the older generation, loyalty again is important. You want to communicate to them how loyal they are, but that they are helping others. You also want to one thing that showed in both surveys is that they are more likely to do monthly donations. So sometimes when you promote donating, instead of just saying, please donate to us, you can say, please donate monthly. $10 a month equals to $100 a year, $120 a year, or 30. Just give them a little saying that if you just give this per month, this is how much you can give a year. Let them know that you do have that option if you want to attract the older generation because they have shown to be doing this a lot more. And also the tax receipt that we talked about, and clearly indicate that your transactions are secure. So leveraging the digital tools. Again, I spoke a lot about the website page, how it has to be optimized. The donate button has to be on the top right corner of your website in red. I don't know why. Every website it's in red. My website it's in red, and I always see it in that color. This is what the industry says, and this is what you see on most websites. But it has to be prominent on all your pages. Even if you're an organization that there's some organization that have funding, let's say from other sources, as a nonprofit, it still needs to be there. You still need to have that there, right? It's just your nonprofit. You need to have a donate button. That's what I've learned with the industry. Now, the donate page, we've the donation page. I've talked a lot about some of those, so I'll go to only the ones that I didn't speak on. So the impact I spoke about, different payment option, express checkout. The difference here is that when you use express checkout like PayPal, Stripe, Apple Pay, Shop Pay, Amazon Pay, Affinity, the express checkout is all you have to do is just put in your username and password. You don't have to take a credit card. You don't have to pull your credit card, look at the number, enter all the numbers. No, you just do username and password. This is so important. It's more specifically for the younger generation. They want things to go fast. And so it's something to consider to have different options, but also express checkout when they can just log in. Not they don't have to enter their credit card information right there. They just have to log in to one of those already accounts that they have. Adding a mailing address across all generations, I think it's still important, and clearly stating who the check should be made to. If you can give a tax receipt using trustworthy payment processor, adding security and anti-spam. For cybersecurity, on your form, you should add the CAPTCHA to your form. CAPTCHA does make sure that it's not a robot. The different bots on the internet that go and do wreak havoc on forms. And also the other tidbit that I'll say for cybersecurity, not to get your donation page or your donation form hacked, is to add your minimum donations. This is what I'm going to say. Your minimum donation should be about $10. $10 US, $10 CAD, Canadian, $10 euros, and others if you have. The reason is because when you allow lower, your donation form can be hacked and used for card testing. Look it up. I don't really have time to get into it in this one, but when I do have a webinar on cybersecurity, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This is something that I'm saying out of experience, that your donation form can be hijacked. And by putting CAPTCHA and putting a minimum to your donation amount could really save a lot of trouble, speaking from experience. And all of this, if you use a donor management system, an online fundraising platform, all of this is integrated, right? And it's free. Where you'll have to pay is on the donation. But to install it, to have it, you'll have to pay, I think most likely it's like 2% of the donation amount, up to 3% of the donation amount. But it's free and it's all integrated. And what's really integrated is the communication sequence after this. It's integrated, and all you have to do is after donation is done, I want to send this thank you email. It gives you a report of all your past donors. You can ask for their age, you can ask for this and that. And so that's something that I think everybody should be able to implement. I will go through these a little faster for time. Join an online directory listing for free. I think you know where I'm going with this in terms of support Black charities, but also it's a specific audience. So when you are listed on a directory with a specific audience, you have more chances that it's a pre-qualified audience to people that go there. So find those organizations, those directory listing, those review sites also, and cause specific site, because another thing of the research that I saw is that the younger generation, they're quick to go to review sites. You can ask them a question about something, and instead of telling you where to buy it, they'll tell you the reviews are bad on this because they've already looked at the reviews. And so if you can get on review sites and get good reviews, or even if you have bad reviews, but you handle them properly, this will help you. Again, the benefit of these listings is because they always have a vetting process. And so being on these platforms gives you a little enhanced credibility, which it's the same thing for Support Black Charity because of our vetting process. Data analytics tools, super, super important that you get into the habit of, for your website, looking into Google Analytics. You want to know who goes to your donation page and where do they come from. Do they come from organic search? Do they come from another website, your social media? You want to know where they're coming from. And that's really relevant information because if you see that none of them are coming from organic search, they're all coming from social media, then you can either boost your social media to make you know that that works. Your messaging works on social media because it brings them to your donation page. And social media, all of them have embedded, integrated audience and page insight tools that are almost invasive. They know what you do, where you work, almost your interest, your age, where you live. But for the sake of what we're trying to do to understand the different generations, it's very good for us. We do want to take advantage of these tools that are still free to use. So the fundraising tools on social media, one thing to find out is that nonprofits are usually on in order of usage: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. But the engagement is in order of importance is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn and YouTube. The younger generations are on Instagram and Twitter. The older generation on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter is about the same. Again, if you are part of these platforms and you want to target the younger or the older generation, you need to find out where are you right now and the potential for growth by adding one of these platforms to you. All of them have an embedded fundraising tools that you can use, and you can add a donate button. But and I'll go directly to the next page just to show you the tools. It's fundraise with Facebook. As you know, Instagram and Meta is also Facebook. It depends on the country. Unfortunately, if you're in Canada and you don't have charitable status, you cannot be part of it. This is really unfortunate. It goes by country and status. LinkedIn for nonprofit, it's only resources, but they have great resource. And if you put out some articles that are general enough and you tagged LinkedIn nonprofit, they will repost you, share your content, and like it. It's happened to me a few times, and then the engagement from that is unbelievable because there's a million nonprofits on LinkedIn. I found that yesterday. A million. It's unbelievable. Oops. YouTube giving, again, only for the US, and you have to have the status 501c3. TikTok for good, they are just starting. They are late in the game. Obviously, the younger generation is all over TikTok, it's the craze. They just started. They partnered with Tilify. I think by the end of this year, they will have something in place. Because I think they are looking at the engagement and understand that they could do something, and also to add your organization to their list. It's an email. It's not an onboarding process. You have to send an email to the people. I looked this up, and it's not yet really developed. But if you have a chance to be on there, they are about 30 only organization. If you can be there early, that would be a good thing. So I would say to go to TikTok for Good. I believe it's tiktokforgood.com, or just do a search and find out how to onboard your nonprofit, and see what are the requirements. And Twitter for Good, it was really working well because they were doing spotlights on organizations, but it stopped because of the change in management. So we are coming up at 2 o'clock. I do realize that my passion took the best of me again. So I'll go quickly to those, and maybe I'll come back in the question. But this online point of sale donation free, this is something that you need to look into. When you go to checkout, now there's a section that says, please donate to a charity. You need to make sure that your donation, your charity, is on that list of the donation. So all the retail are into it. I put all the names here: eBay for charity, Etsy for good, Sephora, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, Petco. Amazon Smile is being discontinued at the end of the year. PayPal has the same thing in Godzilla. So you want to add your organization to this, definitely. So action step for the nonprofit. We're almost done. If you can stay, great. If not, I'll make sure to send the recording to you. But the action steps, I kind of already talked about those. So you want to understand what your audience is. Who are they right now? You have all the tools to be able to find their age and their demography, and then find out with what we know, which ones are on social media, which social media are they on, and their behaviors, right? So with all the information that I shared today, you should have a better idea of where your donors are coming from and who the people that you're engaging with, what generation they're from. So then you find out your gap to find out what is the biggest place for a opportunity. And then you cater and customize your messaging and the different digital tools. You leverage the tools to be able to customize your messaging to them. You want to definitely, it has to be customized because you see not all of them are specifically the same. And you evaluate and you test. So the conclusion, we need to adapt to survive. I'm a little bit, I know it's dramatic, but we don't have a choice to do this today. The takeaway is you need to understand who your audience is to be able to get there, um, and recognizing the difference in the generations. These are some of the questions that were submitted. If people have time, I will go through them, but I want to go first to, I'm going to stop sharing and see if there are any questions that I can answer right away while most of you are still there. And then I'll go back to this list. And I also want to thank the people who have submitted their questions. Wow, thank you so much. They're all here except for two that were submitted this morning. I didn't have time to put them in the presentation, but I will follow up. And I will stop sharing and see if there are any questions. And then I'll come back to this page to find out what the questions are. Here I am. Thank you. I know I'm just looking through the chat here. Thank you everyone for your kind words. No, we are all over the world. So I'm answering here to Gary, asking if our services are only in Canada. No, we are based in Canada, but we are operating all over the world. I shared earlier in the presentation that we have currently 127 organizations listed, but we are in 18 countries around the world. So if you are in the US, in Africa, in the Caribbean, in the UK, yes, we want to add you to our directory and we can work with you based on your needs, but also with the new programs that are coming out. So yes, it's all over the world. We do not want to stop ourselves to Canada. It's definitely all over the world. I hope I answered your question. So in terms of contact for the US, work for the government here. You said, do you have a contact and I can use it in the US? Again, we also operate in the US, and I'd like to know a little bit more about what information you need, but let me first share my contact information. So if you, I'm going to do this right away before I talk too much, see if that works. No, but yes, we operate everywhere and we are building our contacts all over the world. And so we have, if not us, we can talk to somebody else who can definitely help you. I will put this in the chat for everybody here. I hope it did not come out the way I wanted to. So it did not come out the way I wanted to. I will put them separately so you can see it. So let me see a little bit of the questions. So yes, if you want to meet, if you want to have a meeting, I did put my calendar here. I am interested in learning from you, your different challenges based on where you are. We need to understand our audience, which is nonprofits, to be able to cater our programs, customize our program to you. So please, I'm always open to have meetings, 30-minute meetings, or maybe 15 minutes meeting to be able to understand where you're coming from. And I'm just going to go back to the chat and understand. Okay. I see a question. Yes. Oh, wow. I should probably speak about this a lot. We are currently working on SBC Academy based on the demand again, and this is the next evolution of our growth. We want to be able to give resources. We want to give you information such like this. We want to give it in a more structured way, more available for everybody. So yes, we are actively working on SBC Academy, and look out for this. This is going to be an online structure available for everybody on different subjects. So that's the reason why we like to hear what people are talking about, because if we have the ability to create a program that answers some of your needs, we will do so. That's the main reason why we want to be able to create SBC Academy and help everybody at the same time and have something that's available, not only on a live session, but also just available that you can definitely go back into. This is something that we're doing. There's going to be on-demand programming available online, but also in person. We'll continue to do these and on virtually live to be able to ask questions, but we are also gonna go into having some in-person sessions. Right now, yes, in Canada, but there's opportunities for travel, and we'll see how that can be included to go in different regions where we have the most organizations. And just keep looking here to see what the organization is. We will share the recording. Give us a couple of days to just clean it up a little bit and intro, outro, and put all the information. It'll be either on YouTube or on our website. But either way, everybody that registered, I will be sending an email to everyone to thank you for coming here to joining us, but also to give you information on when the recording is going to be available. I will also be providing on-demand a copy of the PowerPoint. There are some links there that are important to see based on some information that you can follow up on. And so I will be sharing the PowerPoint. If you want to just send an email specifically to info@ supportblackcharities.org. We will send that faster before the recording, if you would like to do so. I will continue to look. Okay, here, see some messages here. I'm going down. Okay. Okay, thank you. Some people are giving me some compliments. I appreciate it. Okay. I'm always happy to give this information. I want to do it more. I myself listen to a lot of other webinars, and I want to be able to give that information to organizations. So what I'd like to do, if there are no other questions, and if you have a question, you want to go live and unmute yourself and your camera and ask the question, I will give you 10 minutes to do so. If you want to raise your hand, please, you can do so. Okay, we have somebody. Somebody raised their hand.
You can raise your hands. Go ahead.
Yes. Ryan or Yinka? Yes, please. What is your question? Yinka?
Oh, Yinka could go first.
Yes. Yinka, what is your question?
Thank you, Anick, for the presentation. I don't know if you've mentioned it earlier. One, is it just for charitable organizations? That is one. Two, is it only for non-for-profit, or is business organization or businesses also, can they also benefit?
So right now, as you know, the name of the organization is Support Black Charities, and it was easier to say Black Charities because everybody knows what this means. But it's charities, community-based organizations, not-for-profit, but it definitely has to be on the charitable sector. In terms of for-profits, our subject matter doesn't really apply to for-profits. We want to stay on the non-profit side, but what I will say is that you can go on our directory and find organizations that do help people on the entrepreneurship and the for-profit side. And if you have any questions regarding your business into business development, marketing, and so on, they will be able to help you. So I guess I always have an answer. We specifically work with nonprofit, charitable organizations, charities, nonprofit, community-based organizations, and so on, grassroots. But if you have a need for something else, please go through our directory. There are plenty of organizations that are helping for-profit businesses in the areas that you mentioned. I hope I
Thank you.
answered your question.
Yes.
Yeah, great. The next hand is Ryan.
Hello. Thank you again for the presentation, Anick. One
Welcome.
question I was curious, well, two questions. One, for an organization like myself, the ACBN, we support businesses. Is there anything that we could do to support what you're doing, just with getting the word out? You can let me know. And the other question was, for cooperatives, would what you do support cooperatives as well?
Yes, for the first question, absolutely. The first question I mentioned at the beginning that SBC is trying to bring all the different pillars of the ecosystem together. We're doing it through philanthropy, right? So I think it makes sense. Ideally, I'll share you a little bit of my dream. Ideally, I would like every Black business to support a Black charity. Every Black business to be associated with a Black organization. Think about how the world could function that way, right? So when you say, how can Black businesses help Black organizations? Absolutely. They are part of the ecosystem. And so there's a lot of organizations that are looking for sponsorship. And some Black businesses could help in the sponsorship department or partner or help them do a fundraiser for a specific organization. And there's always a way to link a Black business to a Black organization. It could be in the same neighborhood, in a local area, your customers, something that your employees care about. So yes, definitely there is a collaboration between Black businesses and Black organization, definitely. And you'll know more about this. Black Philanthropy Month is August, and so we have initiatives that will be happening for Black Philanthropy Month, where we're going to be engaging a lot of the Black businesses to take part in Black philanthropy. We want them to, like I said, ideally, if every Black business would adopt a Black organization, that would be ideal, and then everything works. Like it's storytelling, it's content, it's just feel-good stories. And if it's just for tax purposes, why not? It works, it's part of it. But there's so much that can be done with it. So we're already connected, so I know that we'll be coming back to you for that portion for Black Philanthropy Month, how to get more Black businesses involved in philanthropy for many different reasons. And your second questions, you asked about cooperative. Can you tell me, maybe I don't know enough about corporates, can you tell me a little bit of the business structure of a cooperative?
Yeah, so
is it a social enterprise? Is it a social enterprise, or no? I'm mistaken that way.
That I know of.
No, I mean the cooperative. Just elaborate a little bit on cooperative.
Yeah, so they're member based. So I guess each member of the cooperative forms an entity. So some of them can be for profit or non-profit. So I wasn't sure. I guess they would have to be formed as a non-profit cooperative in order to get support from SBC.
Right. We can look more into that, exactly where that would fit in. That's a good point to bring up, and we can explore that. But yes, we if there's a non-profit component, why not? So we can definitely explore that further. Yes, good question. I'll put that on the list. Of things to explore.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I see that Gary Anderson, you have your hand up. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm the one who asked the question about, because I am in the U.S. and I
Right.
run a nonprofit theater.
Yeah.
But so I'm very eager to find out the ways that you're looking at building individual giving on, as well as on approaches that you're looking at for corporate giving, because you make the statement that you'd love to have a Black business supporting Black cultural organizations, and you understand all skin folks ain't kinfolk, so
Yes.
you know that that's going to be a difficult thing to. I mean, it's a challenge because in many cases, to do their business, many Black entrepreneurs and business owners try to be quote unquote inclusive, and they don't want the attention of being of their Blackness being always identified. And so supporting Black organizations, they'll call themselves out in February and other times of the year as such, but on a regular basis they have a difficulty seeing their cultural connections being a win for their corporate interests.
Yes, and that is our challenge.
Yeah.
Our challenge, and I could say our role is to be, I definitely want to have to make this happen. So it's a way to present it, right? So we have to work on how to present it in a way that it makes sense for them. Obviously, you have the hard heads that it won't work, but I've definitely seen a big change in terms of businesses in general, with the corporate social responsibility that do want to fulfill that mandate. But again, I get what you're saying, that some people just don't know what that looks like and they don't want to be associated with a Black organization. At first, the challenge is to make it appealing, is to look for ways to make it easy, make it attractive, make it something that works for them, and also speaking to these business owners to find out, okay, what are the limitations exactly? Is it just the Blackness? What is it? Let's dive in a little bit. So like I said, it is a challenge, and the gentleman that spoke earlier, Ryan, he's already expressed it. So there are some people that do want it, and we'll work with people that are interested in it, but I don't want to limit it there. Being able to convert people would be fantastic, right? But it's all how we present it. And this is the work that we have to do to find out what those limitations are, how it can be presented, to get more people and more businesses interested in supporting Black organizations. I think it makes sense. Everybody wants the ecosystem to thrive, but everybody has to play together. So it's a big challenge. I agree. I've come across some of the people that you're mentioning, and it's just about looking at the right angle to present it to them. But thank you for bringing that up. It's something that we'll have to work on and make sure that we try to convert some people.
Well, could I suggest that one of the
Yes.
things that SBC could do, at least one aspect of their strategies, could be to actually do these presentations for Black business leaders. The information that you provided us was extremely helpful. And maybe if there's a way for you to show to them the impact that they can have.
Yes.
I keep interrupting myself, but what I'm trying to say is, many cases, their bottom line is what motivates all of their activities. And there is, in many cases, there's an assumption that small Black nonprofits, regardless of what area they're in, aren't necessarily going to benefit their bottom line. If there's a way for you to show the information and show how that actually would impact their interest, then you're actually solving a problem for them that they claim they have.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Again, yes, I agree with you. I think we have to show them the way. But it's also, I want to first listen, understanding exactly what the limitations are. And then from that, we can definitely present different ways for them to be involved, to feel involved, and to maybe look beyond the bottom line, because there's two aspects to it, right? When you help a nonprofit, there's a bottom line, but there's also just a social aspect to it. So, but how do we mix both so there's a good balance? That's a challenge, and I'm my colleague is on the call here, and he already knows what we're gonna work on. But it's something that we already said that we needed to work to make sure that businesses are involved and understanding the limitations. And we're gonna have to work. And I like your suggestion of having this type of meeting catered to businesses to give them ways, and also have an open relationship, open communication to understand their limitation. That's something that I'm definitely interested in, to find out how to explore that further, but have that communication directly with them to see the impact that it could have, and give them clear action steps. But yes, I will take that on. I'm taking the challenge to see how we can get more businesses involved. Definitely. Thank you for that. Thank you for
No
bringing that
problem.
up.
Thank you.
So I don't know if there are any other questions. If the people that are still there, what I can do, let me look into the questions that are there. I'm gonna go quickly. If you're still there, there's a few people there. I'm gonna go back and just go over the questions that were submitted, because there were some great questions, and some of the people that submitted the questions are still on the call. And so I am going to, not sure if this is here. Am I presenting? Okay. I'm gonna go back. How do I go back? Oops. Sorry, let's go back. There we are. Okay, so I'll do this quickly. There's some of the questions we actually already answered. How may we discover which online tools our communities are using? I think through this presentation, you saw that you need to find out first who's already engaging with your audience, right? And you could use Google Analytics on your website, and you could use the different insight tools on social media. Find out who they are. And they all have the age groups, and from the age group you can find out what generation they are, and from the information we presented today, then you can find out, oh, okay, they're that age group, so they're mostly on social media. Oh, okay, they're that age group, so they mostly send by check. And this is how you can kind of customize your content, but you need to know who are the people that are already engaged with your platform. And then you also look at who are your past donors. And then you see from the people that are engaging with you and your past donors, do they fit? You know, if you have a lot of Generation Z engaging with you, but on your donors, you see none of them give, why? And then you can analyze and see, okay, I need to be more on social media. I need to do this. I need to show more of my impact, where the money is going to go, and maybe that'll entice them to give more. So there's a little bit of analysis to do and a little bit of research, but with some of the tools that I mentioned here, the Google Analytics and the Insight tools from Facebook, you can definitely find out where what your community can use by deduction a little bit. So that was the first question. Do donors target BIPOC organizations or Black-led? I will say yes, definitely. We are the proof. We are the proof that organizations are looking to support the donors are looking to support Black organizations. And I'll add there Google AdWords. If you use Google AdWords, it shows the organizations that, it shows the words that people use when they search on Google. And some of the popular words are, I put this, if you put donate to Black organizations, I know we come up, definitely, but we come up before Black Lives Matter, which I'm kind of proud of, actually. I'm actually proud of that. But I'm just saying that you see the way they show these words in those reports, Google Ad reports, there's a weight to it. I think that's how they refer to it. And donate to Black organizations, support to Black organizations. These are terms that are still being searched a lot. So yes, donors are looking to give to Black organizations. I am the proof. We have slowly, steadily increased the number of people visiting our website. And so we know, and when someone stumbles onto our website, again, they're not looking to order pizza, they're looking to support a Black organization. And I don't know if I put this, but I think right now it's almost 2,000 per month terms of unique users that go on our website. So these are the potential people that can interact and engage with and find your organization on our directory. So definitely, yes. What is the cost of using social media fundraising tools? It's actually free. The tools are free, but you have to be an eligible organization depending on your country and your organization status. So you want to look at that. But all the tools are free. Somebody asked about cryptocurrency. I think cryptocurrency is not yet a deciding factor into donating. It's not as if somebody's going to go on your donation page and they see you don't have donors, or you don't have a way to get crypto, and they'll say, I'm not going to give. Most people who have crypto also have a credit card. They still function with money. And so they can still give. I really did some research on this one, and wasn't anything. It wasn't a deciding factor, and they barely showed up it wasn't significant when they showed up. But there are some payment processors that you can put as a method just to add another option. And it'll show that your organization is progressive. So Coinbase, BitPay, Coin Payments, these are some of the ones that are used. I've not used them. These are some that I found online that you can put on your website. What services do we have to help attract more donors? First, it's about increasing online visibility. When you list it in our directory, you're visible to a highly targeted audience. And the fact that we promote you on social media and we regularly share info sessions like this, it's a way for us to give you the information so you can attract more donors. This is kind of another way. But definitely being listed on a directory is one of the ways that you can attract more donors, because people come to our site to support Black organizations. How does SBC help leverage digital tools? It's being part of an online platform, like I said, that has a specific audience. This is something that we saw that the Millennials and Gen Z, they look for a lot when they want to review and look for an organization. Creating a balance with traditional fundraising and virtual fundraiser. This question, I would have liked to get a little bit more out of that question, but I don't know if it was a question or a statement. But what I say is that you need to diversify your methods to attract a variety of donors. What you've seen is there's differences across generations. If you want to attract the most, you need to diversify and to be able to make sure you don't miss out on these donations. One that was asked was the payment process bank. Oh, yes. So yes, there's something that's not done a lot, but you can add what's called electronic fund transfer. Yeah, it's right there. Electronic fund transfer option is a great way to add another option without using your credit card. Now, you have to make it really clear and really easy for people to use this. And one way that I put here is to ask your bank to set up email auto deposit. So there's no back and forth. You don't have to send your password for people, the suggested password, the phrase, and so on, for people to enter your password. That doesn't need to have an extra transaction if you set up your bank account to be an auto deposit associated to an email. And so when people use that email, it'll go directly to your bank account right away. But this is actually a great way. I think I might use that because it's been asked several times. So how can we collaborate to improve scale nonprofits in the community? I would love to connect. I do have the information of who asked this question. So we're all about this. Partnership is the way to go. People have different information. And yes, I will definitely connect offline so we can discuss possibilities. Just like Gary Anderson just shared some information. This is the way we're going to have to do it. We need to hear what people have to say. Excuse me. And this is the way we'll be able to create a community and help the community. And so these are the questions. I'm going to stop sharing. I want to hear from what you probably learned from this webinar. If it was useful, I hope it was, and it gives you a little bit more information. Just give me a second. Information, and Yes, there's some organizations, some people that I see that are still on the call here that have reached out about an organization. And so I would like to speak to you. I try to speak to everybody that's listed. Right now, 127, I've been able to manage this. When it gets to 1,000, it'll be a challenge, but it's part of the vetting process as well, right? It's a way for me to connect, to understand who you are, what you do, you're a real person, and it's for a way for you to give me your feedback. So yes, please connect with me. So if there's no other question, I want to thank everybody that stayed on. Wow, an extra 30 minutes. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully this was useful. I want to do a lot more. I apologize. The passion got a hold of me again, and I went off script and I went over time, but thank you for this information. This will be on the website. Everybody that has registered, I will follow up with all of you. And yes, have a great day, and please connect with us, email us to let us know what you think. And that's it. Hopefully you'll join us definitely at the next one. We have some ideas now about what to do, and you will get some value there. So take care, everybody.